This is my lighting class folder cleaned up a little bit. So what I've left are the Revit projects, which is the architectural one, and then I'm going to have an associated lighting project that I'll link to the architectural. And these are my Revit family files. These are the actual fixtures. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to open the architectural project, and you'll see that what it is just the outline really of the building. So I have multiple levels. And inside the building I have the stairs that run for the multiple levels. So the idea would be to provide this to the lighting consultants. If I look at my section here, you'll see that what I've got is just the internal floors and curtain wall that's hung from the roof. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open I'm going to create a new lighting file. I've got one that's already finished here, but I'm going to create a new one. So let's say architectural template, and I'm going to go to the Insert tab. I'm going to say link the Revit file. I'm going to point to my folder, which is on my desktop, lighting class. I'm going to find the architectural file, and I'm going to bring it in. I usually bring them in origin to origin, so that the points that represent the center of the project should be on top of each other. Since they haven't been moved, and since it's the same template, this should come in the right place. And so there's the architectural file. So what I've got here is I have levels. If I go to the south, I have here levels representing the floor of the architectural building, and levels, 2 of them only in here, that represent the levels of the lighting plan. Let me see if I can help distinguish between the 2 of them. Yeah, so let me say I'm looking at an elevation. If I say VG, if I look at the option that says Revit links, and I were to turn off the attached Revit file, you'd see that actually I've got 2 levels in here that are the part of the lighting model rather than the architectural model. What I'll do is I'm just going to pull those out a bit to try and help distinguish them from the other levels. VG, sorry, what am I doing? Revit links, turn these on again. Let's say OK. So you can see that these here are actually my levels in the lighting drawing itself. So let me go to, say, the ceiling plan of the first floor. There's what I'm doing in the ceiling plan is looking at a height of about 7'6" in the floor plan, and seeing reflected at that height things that are above it. I'll just confirm that for you by going to where it says view range. So the cut plane is at 7'6", but because it's a reflected ceiling plan, what I'm seeing is what's above that on up to level 2 at 0 elevation. So what my displayed objects are in that particular range. If I want to draft some of my fittings in here, I could say load family. So again, I could go insert and load family, or if I'll do it that way first. If I say load family, I'll point to my folder. Let me show you a shortcut. When I go to desktop, I've actually got a folder called lighting project, lighting class I should say. If I drag that over to the right here, to the left here, that gives me a pointer that will take me straight there, and that pointer will be there in the future. So let me take one of the lights. Let's take the lighting pendant. This was one of the lights that I downloaded from the manufacturer's website. If I say open, it must have been produced in an earlier version of Revit because it updated it as it brought it in. Okay, so with the light family is now in my project. The other way of getting the light and I could see it if I go down here to families and I go to lighting fixtures, and I see my family is actually there, and I could drag it off to place it on here. So I dragged it from there to the drafting area. Place on a vertical face, place on a face, place on a work plane. Now if I say place on a face, what I'm actually doing is placing it on the ceiling of the view that I'm looking at. So if I click on here, I'll just place one so you can see how I placed it. Useful for me to have a section, so I'm going to just go to view, section. Let me just cut a section through my building here. I'll make sure that extends beyond the end of the building, and I'll click on the section head itself, and you can see there's the light fixture that I brought in, hanging from this point. Let me confirm that by looking at the ground floor level 1 and putting a camera in here so you can see where the light fixture is. So again, if I go view, camera, see I was standing in that corner looking back through the building here. You can see my light fixture hanging from the roof. If I pick on the light fixture, you'll see its properties. If I go I have to be in an orthogonal view, so you get used to this very quickly, but you can pick things and delete things in the 3D view, the perspective view, but when you want to do something with it, you need to switch to an orthogonal view. So you see that when I switch to it, I actually see the properties of what I've selected, and I can see there that it was, let me just do it again so you can see if I pick it, you can see that it was hosted on that linked Revit model architectural, there it is, and its elevation is at 9 feet. Okay, so let me go get the other light fixture I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to go back to and it's the ceiling level that I'm placing it on. This time I'll do it a slightly different way. Let me bring back my property palette here. I'm going to go to the architecture tab, components. This is another way of bringing in general categories of information. So it's usually things like furniture, people, lights. Load family. I've got my pointer here to take me straight back, and I'm going to pick the lumen large. It updates as it comes in. This time, because I'm actually in the command to place a component, it's ready for me to draft it. So as soon as I'm ready to go, there it is. I get that kind of no parking symbol because the option that's active is vertically on a face, and that's not what I'm wanting to do. I don't want to place it vertically on a face. I'm going to say place on face, and I'll drop that on the ceiling so you can see it. Actually, let me I'm grabbing it, I'm nudging it down with the arrow keys and bringing it across, just so that you can see that I can switch and see that fixture on the ceiling itself. Now the fixtures have data associated with them, so if I pick the fixture, if I come over here, you can see it. You'll also be able to see that it says it has a fixture angle. So for example, if I turn that to say 45 degrees, when I move my cursor off of the browser, it applies the value. So if I move it like that and you'll see it turn at 45 degrees. The other thing you might notice about this is if I say edit type, you'll see that the fixture itself has, I placed it on the face so you can ignore this information, but it's got manufacturer's information filled out there. And if I scroll down a bit, you'll see that it's got a pointer to the URL for the site and the product page. This is, if you're using generic lights that come with Revit, you'd have to fill in this information yourself if you're not actually using the light fixture. And what I wanted to show was just that information. So for example, if under Keynote, right, I could add to this by looking at, would that be a electrical interior lighting, so I could pick my options from here. Right now I'm just going to leave it as interior lighting like that, but you'll see that what it does is it puts that information into the Keynote, which will help me later on. Type mark is I can actually identify, suppose I was to say this is a type A light, they might be labeled A, B, C, D. I'm just going to say type A. Okay, pick on that one. Let's go back to my other light. Let's look at its properties here, and I'm just going to call that B, just to illustrate the principle of putting data into the light itself. So type mark B. Okay, and if I look at my ceiling plans here and I want to put information into the model, I started with a new project, and that new project was an architectural project. It doesn't have all the labels for all of the MEP content. So what I would do is I would go to annotate. I would say let's tag this by category, meaning that, you know, a lighting tag for lights, a wall tag for walls, a furniture tag for furniture. So if I say let me go tag by category and pick the light itself, it'll tell me, well, you don't have a lighting fixture tag in the project, you want to load one now. So I'll say yes. I'll go under annotations, points me to the library, US Imperial. Under annotations, and this would be under electrical, and a lighting fixture tag that will put this information in for me. And so you see that I can actually, I'd said, you know, B, that would be a light B. Let me just explain it. What's happening here is that on the top I've got the option of creating it with a leader or an attached end. Let me turn the leader off just so you can see that I could kind of click on this and get a tag that says B, and if I click on the other one that I had said A, I'll get a different tag. Now again, the principle behind this is that if I pick a component, right, and I change its properties, so the tag was actually like two tags, so I'm going to assume that these would be like interior or exterior and then the number for the light. So what I'm going to do is change where it said B, and I'll say let's call this interior A, and then I'll click OK. And again, if I pick on the light fixture, so I'm not the label but the light fixture itself, and I change its properties. If I change this one, I'm going to call this I. Is it B? Having some graphics card problem here. IB. And OK. And again, if I pick the light fixture itself, I can sorry, let me grab the label and pull it off. You see that the labels themselves are separate from the object but have data coming from the object, and if I pick the label at any point and say add a leader later, you'll see that it goes back to the object itself. I don't have to label all my lights because the way this works is really quite efficient. Let me make a copy of this light. So what I'm going to do is take the light, say I can either do copy or I'll do an array to show you how I could make a set distance row of this thing. So I'm going to choose not to create this as, well, let me show you both ways, right? So down here I'm creating a linear array, grouping and associating the light, and what I'll be placing is the second light. In other words, when I pick this corner of the light and then I come over and pick that corner of the light, that's me saying that I want to have two lights that are side by side like this. And but it's an intelligent array. If, for example, I went up here and I said I want 6 of them, you see that it repeats the number of lights. If I said I want that to be 15, you know, it's actually repeating the lights there. Now I can use groups, or I could have not created that array as in a group so that they were all individual lights. Right now this is the light and it's repeated as a group along here. While I've done it that way, what it means is that if I was to pick one of these, you see I can actually get back and edit this and it's still smart, so I could change the number of lights. The point that I was trying to get to was you can actually say tag all the lights. So now that I've got a tag, I've got the option of the standard or the boxed tags. These are two different styles. I can say, let's say the box, with or without a leader. How do I want the tag oriented? Always horizontally or vertically? I'll just go with the defaults and say OK. You see that what it's actually done is put all of the tags for that light into my project. So I could position them as and where I want them to be if I want to do that. Let's do a Control Z to get back. I probably don't need it for all of them. Okay, let me kind of stop at that point and then show how I could, well, let me jump into the floor underneath here so you can see what's going on. So that was drawn on the level 1 ceiling plan of the ground floor. If I go to my 3D views that I have, where I'm looking at the inside of my project, I can see my lights on the roof. I can even kind of step into my model with the steering wheel thing here. I'm going to say walk and I'm going to move forward and turn a little bit to the side so you can see this, and then I'm moving forward slightly, and then I will click on the cancel here to get out, and I'll use that as my view, and escape to get out of any command. So I'll use that as my view for a quick rendering.